Welcome back to another episode on the abandoned 1960 El Camino. We have a lot to do in this video. At the end of the last video, we got the drivetrain put in the car. We have to finish buttoning up all the stuff to make the engine run. We got to finish the radiator, we got to finish the underhood wiring harness, we got to put the headers on, we're going to paint the rims and put the new tires on. We're going to paint a few things that we didn't really plan on painting. That's kind of a surprise for later in the video. Dad and me now have a P.O. box open. If you want to send Dad a letter, me a letter, it's just another way to communicate with you guys who enjoy our content. The address to the P.O. box I'll put right here, and I'll put it in the description of the video, and I'll also put it in a pinned comment. Just if you feel led to send us something, we would like to respond to you. So anyway, let's get cranking. In the last video of this El Camino, we had the drive shaft put in it, but we had to take it back out because we have to shorten it about 1 inch. You can see we cut the yoke off of the drive shaft and marked it with a pin there because when the suspension flexed, the yoke was running into the tail shaft. We also got some rims. We got 4 Rally Sport rims, and we also ordered an aluminum radiator for the car. We tried to save the original one. If you want to watch the last video, we rotted it out and everything, but it was just too old, fragile, brittle, and it was just not going to work. We also got 4 white wall 15-inch tires. The gentleman we got the rims off of said, look, I got some tires that were rollers off of a project I had. They're like 15 years old. You can just have them. It was a total blessing, in my opinion, from above because these things are in great shape. They're not dry rotted at all. They're the exact tire we wanted. We wanted the skinny white walls. We didn't want white letter or black walls. We wanted white walls. They're perfectly good. The tread is there. It's a matching set of Goodyears. They're not used hardly at all. I mean, it's like a brand new set of tires, so very grateful for that. So this is what had to be cut off the end. You can see all these grind marks. This is where it was welded to the yoke. And you cut about 1 inch off, well, exactly 1 inch.
About an inch.
About 1 inch? Yeah, about 1 inch. Now you put the yoke back in the drive shaft and you weld it up.
Yeah. I can't imagine that not holding.
All right, should be good enough to hold. So we got this cross member radiator support painted black. Some bolts. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt it in, and I'd like to mount the radiator today, if I can. So you can see there's a bolt here that goes through the frame and a bolt over there that goes through the frame. You can kind of see where it ends there. There's some rubber bump stops that go here when you set this down, and obviously they're gone. So we're gonna make them out of an old tire. Sliced it so it'll fit over that bolt.
Then I can whack it out a little bit wider.
All right, it's all the way in there. So put a nut on it and call it good. So we got our radiator in the mail. All right, boo-boo. Punching a hole in it. Raise it up a hair. these holes are just, they need to be wallered out a little bit. Let me go get my step drill. Pretty convenient, but not as convenient as that DeWalt toolbox. This DeWalt box is extremely convenient. We use it every day. I got a list of all the basic tools that we use in these videos in the description of this video. Links to all of it on Amazon if you want to pick something up for your own shop, garage, your house, whatever. It's just a comprehensive list of tools. Just check it out if you want. See, it still needs to be, you know, every time we get these radiators, these aluminum radiators, they fit almost exactly, but almost every time you have to waller the holes out just a little bit to get them all to line up. Which isn't really that big a deal. There you go. And got it all done before lunch. We gotta take those tranny cooler ends off of that other one and put it on here. Keep this stuff, even though this radiator is not usable. See these ends right here? We're gonna have to actually unscrew these and put them on this radiator because these caps, it's just an open hole, so we gotta replace those tranny hookup lines.
Golly.
There you go. Should we clean them up on the wire wheel? Or?
Yeah, I need to clean that. I hope they screw in there. They might be too small.
I think it's right.
Is it?
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah. And it's these fittings that the tranny cooler lines hook onto. You see how this one's nice and this one's not? Somebody cross-threaded this one pretty bad, so we're gonna have to chase those threads and hopefully they come back around. And that water neck, see how it comes this way? The neck is over there. We need one of the necks that comes straight out because our thermostat housing is pointing the wrong direction. See what I'm saying? You can see a little better over here. It's kind of hard to get a hose to go from there all the way over there. We need something that just comes here, right there. The rad's in, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 bolts on the other side. We got the upper radiator hose on, kinda. Where's my lower hose? Right here. Lower hose is gonna go on here. And usually what we do is we put a little bit of anti-seize on the inside of the hose, just like a little something something, because it makes it go on the ends better. Okay, that's kind of a lot, but whatever. It makes it go on the ends better, and on top of that, it makes it easier to take off later, because what can happen is when you put this on the neck on the radiator and it doesn't want to come off and you start wrenching on it, you can actually bust the neck off. Oh, see how easy that went on? Watch, just see how easy she goes on. Boom. It doesn't affect anything about how it seals water or anything. It doesn't hurt anything. Some people I'm sure will be against it, but whatever. We've never had it hurt anything, and it might save the neck on your radiator when you go to take it off later for whatever reason. And we also got our wiring harnesses in for the engine bay. There's 2 wiring harnesses. There's a wiring harness for the engine, like alternator, gauges, pressure, water temp, oil pressure. And then there is a harness for your lights, your blinkers, headlights, turn signals, running lights, parking lights, whatever. And that was off of eBay. These kits off of eBay are awesome. They're already all pre-made with the plug-ins on the end. You lay it across here. There's already a factory clip where this is supposed to lay. And here's your horn. Here's your light plug-ins. And this goes over here. And then it mounts to the fender and it plugs into the firewall. Real convenient kit. I mean, this would take days to make, wrapping it up in tape, putting these ends on it, which we wouldn't even have access to these ends, so it wouldn't look this clean. You know, I think it was 80 bucks. I mean, that saves a lot of heartache for 80 bucks. One more thing, on the lower radiator hose, I had to cut quite a bit off. Probably, what is that, 3.5 inches to get it to kind of fit right. It was kinking up, which would have restricted the water flow. Look at that, in probably 5 minutes or less. Plugs into your factory turn signal, comes out. These are for your low and high beam, because in 59 and 60 they had dual headlights. One was for your low, one was for your high. They're a little bit smaller than the usual headlights. And then this is a ground. You can see the factory one cut off right there. This is actually crimped almost like the factory one. It'll go right there, boom. And then the loom comes over and it rides in your original, where's those clips? They're right here. Got your horn mount, or your horn plug in, your other horn plug in, because in 59 and 60 they had 2 horns right here, dual horns. Then it comes over, same thing. This right here, this is for your horn relay. Plugs right into your horn relay. Comes over again, your headlights, plugs into your signal. So this will plug into your alternator, and this is your battery power that goes right there. It even has the boot on it, like that electrical boot. That's legit right there.
Kit that we ordered, you could order it for the internally regulated and the external factory one. And I ordered it for the internally regulated. And they had the option for ordering the harness with electronic ignition.
With electronic ignition. And we got the one for electronic ignition because this one's got HEI up in there.
Hold that in there.
Alright.
Get that nut started.
And then it plugs into your factory plug-in at the firewall. And Dad is using this dielectric grease. Who makes that?
E2000. I don't know who makes it, but this is more of it's a conductor, lubricant, sealer. It does all 3 things. It's very, very good.
There's that. Tighten that up and then we can put the boot on. Go ahead and put the carburetor on. See how is this supposed to go? That looks right. There we go. That. Now we're going to wipe these rims down with Prepsol. Dad's in there mixing the primer up. Prepsol. You just get the rag a little bit damp. You got to get all the oils off of it. The oils from your hands, from touching it. Even the oil on your hands won't let primer or paint stick. So this stuff is just a degreaser, de-oiler. Look, you can even see here, just from wiping down that rim. See how it's dark? I think Dad wants to paint it the color of the car. That blue color, I think. But it'll look like it's supposed to be that color. find out at the time of arrival.
No, right when you start spraying, it'll come out.
You use rag? Yeah, hold on. Day. Dad's been working on the wiring underneath here, getting the wiring harness from the firewall to the interior of the car straightened out. Got a few parts coming in the mail that are holding us up from actually starting it and driving it. We have completely open heads. We have no headers or anything, so we ordered some headers for it. The headers that we have for it, well, the exhaust manifolds, I should say. The studs where the exhaust bolts in on the exhaust manifolds are broken off. So we can't use them. So we got new exhaust manifolds coming in the mail, battery box hold down coming in the mail. We got a fan shroud coming in the mail. We still got to put the fan on it, finish up the electrical before we can start it and actually drive it under its own power. But it's like practically there. I mean, the drivetrain's all hooked up and the brakes work, but we just got to get some final details down. So I don't think this video is going to go out on Friday. I've been trying to put a good video out every single week, just like my goal. But I'd rather finish a thought than just put the video out just to put it out. So what I'm gonna do right now is jack the back of this up, check out the wiring that goes to the tail lights, see if it's even there, check out the gas tank. Gas tank's probably gonna have to come out so we can check the sending unit, see if there's dirt and crud in there. I think it's empty. I think it's empty from when I tapped on it, but it's gonna need to come out, I'm sure. First looks under here, here's the gas tank. It looks like it's usable. I don't see any holes in it. And here, listen to this. That sounds bone dry, which is exactly what you want to hear. Not a lot of gas in there. Could have been emptied, could have been ran out. That's good, but we're still gonna have to take it out. This, somebody put air shocks on these. I highly doubt that works, but they're there. So looking at the wiring, I'm glad I can actually see some wiring going back here. It comes around through here and it's 8 off. Got a wiring harness coming over back here and up around here, and of course it's 8 off. If you look, see how it's like chingered and not straight cut? That's a mouse or a pack rat, and you can see that they've obviously been living up in here a long time ago. So they were living up in there and ate all these wires that go to the lights back there. This comes over here, these are all together. How are they getting to the front of the car? I'll have to figure that out. But anyway, sometimes they're stuck, and then this is I think inside here, what do they call that, a rheostat in there?
Yeah. Is it working?
Yeah, it's actually moving.
And you can actually check it by putting your meter on it here.
Checking the
here,
resistance.
and you can move this up and down this.
Alright, so it's gonna be a big old fuel hose that goes on that connects to the gas tank. We're gonna have to switch that roo out. Even though the gas tank was empty, there's still like stuff in there. It's all gummy, so we're gonna boil it out. That should be enough. Hopefully I can even pick it up. Oopsies. While Dad's painting the gas tank, I want to check this sending unit, see if it's good. While Dad's painting the gas tank, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more 1960 El Camino updates and future builds. Got the sending unit in, new gasket on. We're pretty sure it's going to work. We tried to read the ohms on it because it's like a rheostat. As that float goes up, it just changes the ohms, and that's what gives you your different voltage for your gas gauge. Got the gas neck put back in it with the hoses on it. This is a pretty big fuel hose, and then there's your vent hose, and then up there is right there by that air shock. That's where the gas feed line is. Trying to unplug the fuel line that goes back there because it's plugged. We can't blow any air through it. Run a coat hanger through it.
If you ever get it to open up, it'll start dissolving it.
Go ahead.
Nothing?
No. Yeah, I feel. Yeah. Go ahead. Keep going. Yeah.
Feel there?
Yeah. Do it again. Oh, whoo!
There it went.
Gosh.
What was it?
Bunch of dirt. Do it again. There you go. All right, gas tank's in it. So there's panels that go here that cover the wiring. Since we're redoing the wiring, we got to get in here, fix some of this so that we can have tail lights. Took the panels off the other side too. You can see there was all kinds of stuff living in there. Dad's getting ready to paint these rims. Got the gun set up. Gonna mix the paint soon. These are primed and dried, sanded, ready to go. We got the factory color. So this color right here. Was there a name for it, Dad?
Yeah, there was. I forgot. I know it's some kind of a turquoise blue, but I can't remember what name they called it.
Oh, well, that's good enough. It's turquoise blue. It's the same color that this was. It's the color the rims are going to be. And see, what else was I just doing? Oh, yeah. Hold up. Let me show you. If you look down there, two ends right there, that's where your tranny cooler lines come out. And they got to run from there, under the starter, by the oil pan. Snake right here, come here. There's where one of your tranny cooler lines are, and then you have to 90 it off your second line and put it over there. But we'll fix the tranny cooler lines a little later on in the video, but for now, let's paint these rims. Okay, so this wasn't supposed to happen. Dad was painting the rims. I made a parts run, and when I came back, he was like, you're not gonna like what I did. I said, what? He said, I painted the hood. And I said, well, yeah, it doesn't really look like the rest of the car. The rest of the car is patina. This is kind of look out of place. You know, he said, well, I had extra paint. So with no prep work, no sanding, no priming, no nothing, just, you know, rusted, just painted right over the patina. This is the result of that. I said, well, if you had extra paint, I mean, the hood's gonna look out of place, but it would have looked better if you would have painted the roof. And he said, well, I still have extra paint, so tape the roof off right now and we'll just paint it. So I said, okay, whatever. So I taped the roof off. He had extra paint, so we just sprayed it right over the rust and patina and all. That's why the hood and the roof got painted. It wasn't in the plans, but it happened anyway, you know, whatever, okay? Okay, so there's a lot going on here today. Dad's got the rims that are painted. They've been drying over the weekend. We got the tires inside that we're cleaning up to put on today. We got some parts in the mail, and let me just be clear, we don't just have a blank check when we do cars or when we're fixing them. We do everything as cheaply as we can, but doing a good job. Like this battery tray. It was completely rusted out. It wasn't even there. You don't have a choice. You know, you got to get it. So we got the fan shroud and the battery box from Classic Industries. That was like $170 for both of those. Not bad. Free shipping. The exhaust manifolds we bought, those were like $120. Came with the manifolds, the gaskets, the studs, the nuts. Because the manifolds that we had, if they're still in here, the studs, where the studs go in, broken, and then I think I saw there's a crack on this, so these were not usable. Got new shocks. Obviously the old ones were shot, you know, that's to be expected. The manifolds were an eBay special. The shocks and the transmission filter was from Rock Auto. So the tires, Dad's cleaning the tires up right now. We got the rims in here. All the rims and tires we got for 120 bucks, which is an absolute screaming deal. We have our friends Dwayne and Ron to thank for that. We got 2 of the rims from a guy named Dwayne that we go to a local car show with. We got the other 2 rims from a guy named Ron that we also go to the local car show with, and he's the one who also gave us the tires. So that was a huge help. Did that on a massive budget, so very grateful for that. Make sure you subscribe now to the channel. I appreciate all your guys' subscriptions and comments and feedback. Some time ago, my analytics showed that like 6% of my viewers were from subscribers and the rest were from non-subscribers, and it's now at like 17%. So thanks for listening, and thanks for subscribing and watching Dad and me build cars together. The goal is to get to 100K this year. Putting the valve stems on right now. Bingo. You should hear a pop. Well, you should hear 2. That was 1. There you go. So we're kind of just double teaming it as I'm getting the tire on the rim. Dad's putting it on the balancer so we can zero them out so that we don't have any kind of like road vibrations at high speeds or anything like that. But what do you guys think about the rim and tire combo? Looking pretty sweet. I love the color and the white walls. I like it. What do you guys think? Oopsies. Oh yeah. Get out of here. Ugly.
Fit in there or not. It might have to lower the frame down a little bit. I don't know.
We put jack stands on the frame, letting the rear end down on the springs because we have to do this quite often on old cars. The fender wells are so tight and low, you can't get the tire in there. Let's see, now it'll fit. There we go. Now that the tires are on, it's back to working underneath the engine bay. Dad's cleaning up the surface where the the exhaust manifold's going to ride so that we can get the gasket on there and there will be no paint or any kind of contaminants on the surface. Alright, sorry I can't get a better angle for you guys, but I'm putting these manifolds in. I'm trying to be ginger with them because I have all the bolts set in them, and one of the gaskets already just fell off the stud. I have all the bolts set in them. 3 gaskets on. Oh well, that gasket done left. That bolt left. All right, we got 1 started. Got 2, 3, and 4 maybe. I feel like we're moving mountains today, but it's almost like when you're working on cars, it's just like that for some reason. You'll work all day long on something on a car and you'll feel like you got nothing done. It's all necessary work, but you'll just be thinking, man, nothing looks like it changed. Nothing looks like I went anywhere. But then all of a sudden, there'll be one day where it's just bam, 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 one thing after another. Big bangs for the buck. Always seems to go that way for some reason. See if I can wrestle my way into this one. Lost one. Give this radiator fan a spritz, and we'll be able to put that on. Cleaned it up, and okay, just do whatever you want, I guess. Thermostat housing, orange, the correct one that goes the right direction, so we'll set that on. We got this mock set up here. We're going to test and see if the heater core is leaking. We got the 2 hoses hooked to the ends that come out of the car. We're going to fill it with water so that it's filled up to here, so that you obviously know the heater core is filled with water, and we're going to see if the level stays. I can maybe blow through it or something.
What?
It's plugged. You might have to put some air pressure to it.
Be careful. It might have to take an abrupt bend or something right there and cut a hole in it. Try the other one.
I don't know.
Look.
She's sat for a little bit. She's dried. Let me see if I can line these holes up kind of before I go and start fighting it. Well, that ain't good. This fan ain't gonna fit. No sir. No sir. Fan isn't gonna fit. Hits the fan shroud. That's not good. This is our accelerator pedal arm that goes in the engine bay here, and when you hit your gas pedal, it moves a rod that moves on the carburetor to give you your acceleration. And it doesn't fit this car, this V8, so we're going to have to cut it and re-weld it so that it fits, because buying another one is like 80 bucks. So remember how it did kind of like a U-turn downwards? We cut it, we tack welded it straight up, and the bend is where it lines up with the carburetor. Now it fits more properly on the accelerator arm, and it moves back and forth just like that. There's a rod that connects in that hole, and it goes up to the carburetor. Now all we have to do is make a rod that connects both of the throttles, and you'll have your throttle action. So we are like inches away from being able to start, run, and drive this car, but we still got a few more things to cover. Let me show you what we need to do. The original fan, the 5-blade fan, was too big, so we have a 4-blade fan over there that we painted black and everything that we're going to put on, which is smaller, so it'll fit here so that we'll have some cooling power. We got to hook our hose up, put water in it, and tranny lines. We don't have tranny lines, which we did buy these tranny lines. They just came in the mail today. We've been waiting for them to go from the tranny to the radiator. Dad's been working on the electrical. We got ourselves some battery cables made up, negative and a positive. Gas tank is all hooked up to the fuel pump and all that, so we in theory could use the gas tank in the car now so it can run off of its own juices. We gotta plug off our heater because our heater core is plugged up. And the last thing is to put a belt on this so that we can at least have charging and water pump action. So in theory, I say in theory because there's always problems with this sort of thing. These are supposed to be pre-bent to the correct bend, whatever that they're supposed to be in to fit. So we're about to find out if it's as advertised or what. Gotta feed them through. If I'm doing it right here. Alright, about halfway in. Come on. This is gonna take a sec. So we got these lines under here, right? And they're right for the most part, okay? We got them fished through the oil pan, starter, all that. But the hookups are here. And this goes way back here. I mean, I don't know who they thought this was for, but that's 100% wrong. So instead of returning these and buying another set, waiting in the mail, or making our own from scratch, most of these bends are correct. So what we're going to end up doing is we'll cut them, bend them up here, put the fittings on and flare them and still use them, but we're just going to have to modify them. So we're going to have to move on for now. Round 2 with the fan, all right? We had to get a spacer for it so that it goes kind of into the shroud so that it, pulls as much as it can. I think I got number 1 started. After jacking with this fan for the last 20 minutes and giving myself carpal tunnel trying to get these bolts in, figured something out. Fan spacer, let me show you. So this is our pulley, our fan spacer. The spacer is too small for the bolt pattern. That's not gonna work. And the fan is the same size bolt pattern as this spacer. So that fan ain't gonna work on this pulley. And even the bigger fan that we had is the same thing. See how the center of that is perfectly aligned? The bolt patterns aren't gonna line up. So we gotta figure out a fan situation. Both of our fans won't work. So it's shifting.
Yeah. can park and start it. Do you need this ratchet?
Yeah, I do need that.
Right here. It almost looks like if I cut it back here, look at here. This almost looks, if I cut that there and cut that there, I could almost bend them straight up. Like that.
Possibly, yeah.
If you look at that and look at that, the only thing about it is it's going to need to be twisted.
Yeah, you're gonna have to bend it. Dad's up front messing with the tranny lines. I'm gonna come back here and try and get our tail lights situated. Oh, there's 4 housings. This one, and then there was 2 over here. They were in pretty bad shape. One of them was. This one's pretty beat up. I mean, it's really bad. So I think what I'm gonna do was, we had this that we got with the car. The first video we put out, I showed that we got this other tail section for the car, and I think it has a housing on it that's good. So this one is in great shape. This one's actually perfect. So at least we have one that we can use off of this, because that other one's pretty bent up. All right. Oops. Huh, that wiring's not in that bad shape, actually. Good enough, boys. So we fixed the wiring back here, heat shrinked it, reconnected them. Remember earlier in the video how they were all chewed up? Got that was able to save the plastic ends that go in the housing. So they go in and twist in like the lights do. I could figure it out here. Okay, yeah, it goes in, twists in, and then so all the taillight housings are in. We're not going to put the lenses on until we've checked all the lights to make sure they actually work. We actually got the lenses when we bought the car. They were back here, all 4, so that was pretty sweet. Coming up here to the motor, got the radiator filled with water, thermostat housing on, thermostat in, radiator hose on. We just filled it with hose water until we know there's no leaks, then we'll drain it out and put actual antifreeze in it. Got a belt on it, tightened up. That's looking good. Got our vacuum lines blocked off that we don't need, so we don't have any vacuum leaks. Got the heater hoses blocked off because our heater is plugged. Got our fuel filter in line before the pump. And Dad is finishing up getting the tranny lines on. Had to cut them, bend them, flare them, put the fittings back on so we could hook them up to the transmission. Now they're nice, ran under the frame where they're supposed to be. Curve off, go into the radiator. So that was a big job done. Obviously this is all new wiring. We put this whole kit in it, so we haven't even tried to crank it with this new wiring harness. So, you know, we're flying blind. Yeah, see if it cranks.
Oh, you gotta hook the battery up.
Oh yeah, battery's not hooked up.
Mess with that battery cable.
Turns out the neutral safety switch is bad, so we had to bypass the neutral safety switch. So let's see if that helps us out. Ready. Hold on.
Just started right up.
All right, I didn't pour gas down it. Go ahead. Yeah, it's popping back through the carburetor. If we follow number 1 plug wire up right here, the rotor is supposed to be pointed towards number 1 cylinder, and you can see that the rotor is pointed 180 out the opposite direction. So we got to fix that. Alright, so our distributor was 180 out. We had a fuel hose that was, well, we had a fuel line that wasn't plugged in. Let's see if it fires. I'm pretty confident now. It's pulling fuel from the tank, I can see it.
Okay.
Try it.
Boy, we're not getting continual gas here.
That pump is pumping. I noticed the generator and the oil light went out. The generator and oil light ran out, so it must be charging and it must get oil pressure, or it must be reading right. Standing over here a little bit so you can hear me. This is just open headers, so it's pretty loud, and it might be messing with the mic a little bit, but we're trying to let it run, get the juices flowing. Dad's putting some tranny fluid in it right now. We're tweaking the distributor to get the timing right. I want to make sure that the water pump, or the thermostat's opening and the water pump's pumping the water through. The temperature's going up right now. The temperature gauge is actually working. The generator light works, the oil light works. I'm not sure about the fuel gauge. It kind of looks like it's trying to work. It's reading quarter tank. We put a couple gallons in it. I'm not 100% sure. We'll let it run for a good long while. So I think the thermostat finally opened. Trying to cycle the water. Yeah, that thermostat opened up. We're good. So after a few weeks, a bunch of different parts and some things going wrong, we were finally able to get it running. We weren't able to drive it because we still have to have a fan. The fan that we thought we had, both of them were too small. The bolt pattern isn't going to match up, so we can't run it for long without it overheating. We still have to put the hood on, and we have some other odds and ends to fix up that's going to be in next week's video. So Dad and me really appreciate you guys watching. Remember, we have that P.O. box open now. The address to that is right here. Just if you want to send us something, we'd love to hear from you guys. We love reading the comments. So there will be another video on this El Camino, and we'll see you guys in the next one.